Hi, and today we're back with a storytelling course. Today's video is going to be about how to construct a story. In the previous videos, we talked a lot about theoretical aspects of storytelling, various approaches of the museum world, the interpretation in the museum. And today, I'd like to get a little more practical with you and talk a lot about this little silver spoon, really beautiful, and make a story about it. So let's get started. The first and most important rule of storytelling is never waste an introduction. You're never going to have a second chance to make a first impression, and when you're talking about the object, the way you present it is the only way you can grab your audience's or your visitor's attention. So, about this spoon, well, what could you say? This silver spoon in front of you was made in Harlem by a silversmith, made Brandevine in 1759. Does that sound interesting? Well, if you're really into silver spoons, probably it might, but this is something that you see, read, listen to everywhere. So let's try to approach it from a different angle. How about we begin saying that the seemingly appropriate and really usual silver spoon was in fact a mark and a sign of committing a sin, of young boys in Harlem. They were given those silver spoons when they, so to speak, had fallen. Of course, this kind of a setting some kind of a conflict creates interest immediately. You want to know exactly what kind of sins they commit and why were they given the silver spoon. So attention of your audience is right there. Another way would be to actually visually engage your audience, saying, look closer. Do you see a woman on that silver spoon exposing her bosom? And of course, your visitor, your audience, whoever is in front of you or in front of the spoon for the matter, would try to look closer and see indeed a woman with her bosom exposed. So, of course, as I just said, an introduction and a first sentence and the opening line of you presenting the object is indeed most important. Another way to grabbing your audience's attention and actually keeping it throughout the story would be using so-called hooks. Those could be visual. You could actually, just what we did in the first line, this could be, look closer. Do you see this torture wheel under the man's chair? And then you could continue on saying, why do you think it's there? Or what do you think it's used for? This is the way your audience gets more involved and actually wants to know more about the story. When you're telling a story about objects, always concentrate on one, two aspects of it. Because, well, you know, you're not a Wikipedia, you're not encyclopedia, you're not giving all the information you have on the subject. Because, like, if you would want your audience to learn everything you know, you could provide them with books, with scientific articles, with archive documents. What we are doing here is we're trying to engage the audience. And therefore, we need to divide, conquer, and focus. So, here, well, there are multiple notions we could talk about here. First of all, the time, when was it made, what was happening in Harlem at that time, also whom was it made for, its provenance, all the long way this silver spoon has gone before ending up in front of a camera here. Well, we could also talk about silver, about how it was made, about the marks it has, the silversmith who made it. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of information that could be talked about the spoon, but do we really want to know about all of those things to remember it? No, not really. Well, I would prefer to actually talk about its subject matter and about a tavern scene it depicts. Here we see a courtesan, a prostitute, who is bargaining with her clients over her services. Here is a man offering her some fish. And, well, what we also could say that such subject matters were common in 18th century Netherlands and Flanders, for they served first as kind of contemporary porn, and also they served as warnings, as moral mentoring for the people on their behavior. Well, you see, this is the way the spoon would be remembered by your audience, and you're only telling one story about it, about its subject matter. Well, this is my favorite point. Actually, it's called "So What." Basically, never give an information that's not relevant to the rest of the story. Never leave your audience hanging. For instance, you're telling a story about the spoon, about the tavern scene, the prostitute, and then you just say, this spoon was given by Jack Jones of Harlem. And then the end of the story. And of course, it feels really unnatural, and you're like, you would want to ask, so it was given and then what? What happened? So always, whenever you are giving any piece of information, always ask yourself, so what? So with the Jack Jones, you could continue saying that this spoon was given to them by his loving parents when he actually committed a sin at 18. And this would be a logical wrap up of the whole spoon story. And the last but not least, always conclude in a powerful way. You need to set your audience off on a good note. You could ask them a question, you could say a joke, you could summarize your story. All of those would be good endings, powerful ones. But you know what? I would prefer ending my silver spoon story just saying, would you give your son a silver spoon like that when he turns 18? And you know what? Light joke, and people go off, but that also kind of makes them think about our modern times and the old times. Well, anyway, this is a powerful way to conclude your story, and I think those are the points that I wanted to share with you on how to structure a story. You know, how to make it more of a storytelling experience for your visitors. And that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you on the subject of how to construct a story. I would really like to talk some more, but actually I have to wrap up. Really, thanks for bearing with me through the whole video, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're going to enjoy the upcoming videos as well.